Arms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast. Oops, sorry, that's my number 2040, a day of rest. What Sundays were like for our ancestors. Ooh, there's all sorts of good stuff that goes on then. So what we're looking Imagine it's the 1800s. It's Sunday morning, and instead of sleeping in, your family is already up, dressed in their best clothes, and heading to church service that could last hours. No shopping, no working, and certainly no loud fun, because in many places, strict Sunday laws were enforced. Could you handle it? Let's have a look. So the role of Sunday church services and community gatherings. The church was the center of Sunday life. In many communities, attending Sunday service was not optional. It was moral, social, and legal expectations. Whoa, imagine that. Wonder if it came down to what religion you belong to as well. But church services were often hours long and could involve multiple sermons, hymn singing, and Bible readings. Many rural communities only had a traveling preacher, meaning church services were held in homes or schools when the preacher arrived. Boy, sitting there for hours. Oh, jeepers. I know as a kid, I couldn't sit still in church. And that was one sermon and a few hymns. But we did get to go out to do Sunday school and that sort of stuff while the church service was on. So that gave us some break from the sermon going on in the actual church itself. And then, speaking of which, Sunday school and social gatherings. Sunday school for children became common in the 1800s as a way to educate poor and working class kids. Church services were often followed by community gatherings, potlucks, or afternoon socials. And in some churches, you had... Oh, hang on, no, we haven't got up to that bit yet. No, I've already got that bit in there. Hang on, I was getting ahead of myself. Some churches held services in multiple languages to serve immigrant communities. That's kind of nice. I like that one. Family expectations and dress codes. Sundays were formal. People wore their best clothes, often reserved just for church. Yep, I had my church clothes. Yep, never was allowed to wear pants, had to wear dresses. Families sat together in assigned pews, and children were expected to sit still and be quiet. And your assigned pews were based on your class. So those were those that were from the more affluent part of the community. They had like a special area that they could sit in. And then it was separated by class too. And in some cases, the men sat in one area and the men were not allowed to sit with their wives, and wives were not allowed to sit with their husbands. They had to be sat separately. So depending on the church and the religion and what their observations were as to whether or not you got to sit with, whether the husbands and wives got to sit with their families or if they got separated, and if they had to sit in certain areas based on their class. So, yeah. Women often prepared Sunday meals the night before so they wouldn't have to cook on the Sabbath. And as an expert tip, old church records can be valuable genealogy resources. Baptism, marriages, and burials were often recorded before official civil records existed. Oh, I forgot one other. I had another detail in here. Oh, yeah, in the Puritan New England, breaking the Sabbath. Oh, yes. In Puritan New England, breaking the Sabbath, like baking bread or playing games, could result in a fine or even public shaming. Just so you know, you had to keep things. They also had a thing called blue laws and Sunday restrictions. And what the blue laws were they were strict rules regulating activities on Sunday, originally intended to enforce... jeepers, I can't get words out tonight. Originally intended to enforce religious observance. I cannot talk tonight. Originated in Puritan New England, but versions of them have spread across the US, Canada, and parts of Europe. Common prohibitive activities on Sundays. No shoppings, stores were closed and markets were often banned. No work, it was illegal to plow fields, sell goods, or conduct business. No entertainment. Some places banned dancing, card games, or music on Sundays. And when I came across this one, I thought, they're banning music on Sundays, but isn't singing hymns in church music? What did you think about that one? No alcohol sales. Many places had laws against buying or selling liquor on Sundays, and some still exist today. And I will tell you this, when we were living in Virginia, we left there in 2010. That was still in place. Now, Virginia was, you had to go to the VABC store to buy your liquor, but they could sell wine and beer in the supermarkets. And you go into the supermarkets on Sunday, and the beer and wine aisle would literally be draped in fabric, basically meaning that you can't touch the stuff. It's Sunday. I kid you not. And that was, back 2010 when we were last living. I don't know if it's still in place today or not, but that was one of the things that they did on Sundays is they actually draped over the shelves that had any beer or wine on it because they were not allowed to sell it on Sundays. I don't know if it's still in effect there or not, but that was what it was when we were there. Not that long ago, 15 years ago. Strange and strict blue laws in history in colonial, this one made me cringe. In colonial Virginia in 1610, skipping church 3 times could get you executed. It's like, dang. They're serious about this church-going thing. In Connecticut in the 1600s, it was illegal to kiss your spouse in public on Sundays. Does that mean the other 6 days of the week we could do that? I'd be in for that. In Boston in the 1800s, Sunday travel was restricted. Stagecoaches and trains were not allowed to run. Some laws banned whistling, laughing too loudly, or even shaving on Sundays. But weren't the men supposed to be in their Sunday best and look their Sunday best with the nice clean-shaven faces? I guess not. The slow relaxation of Sunday laws by the late 1800s or early 1900s, labor unions and businesses pushed for Sunday shopping and sports events. The automobile allowed families to take Sunday drives, leading to more relaxed attitudes towards Sunday leisure. Some states still have remnants of blue laws today. Liquor sales and car dealerships are restricted in some areas on Sunday. In fact, in parts of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, you still can't buy a car on Sunday due to old blue laws. I bet there's some people out there pushing that one. There's always the pushers. So how did families spend their times on Sundays? There was letter writing and reading newspapers. With no work allowed, many people wrote letters to family members on Sundays. Reading the newspaper became a tradition by the late 1800s. You could also do the second one was Sunday dinners and family gatherings. Big family meals after church were common, often including extended family. Traditional Sunday meals included roast meats, pies, and fresh baked bread. Oh, I so miss Sunday roasts. I really miss Sunday roasts. Some families had a designated meal for Sundays, such as a pot roast or fried chicken. I will tell you this: in our house on Sundays, my mum got very good. The ovens we had this automatic timer thingy on it. I still don't remember how to set these things, but there was one that you would turn it and set it to the time you want it to come on. You'd put the oven on at that temperature. You'd press the button, and then supposedly when it hit that time, it would then pop this button, which would then turn the oven on and everything would start cooking. So everything was put into the oven, like the roast in the roasting pan and everything else. And when we got home, when my teenage years would drive from Whitechurch to New Plymouth, and on the way in Bell Block, there was a bakery there. And us kids got to take turns each week of going in and selecting which bread we wanted to have with our Sunday roast. It was really cool. We got fresh baked bread. It sat on the back windowsill, so it was kind of still warm by the time we got home, because we'll get it on the way to church because that's the best time to get it, because if we did it after church, then it may not have been any left. It was a very popular bakery. But we'd go home and Mum would finish off the lunch with putting the vegetables in, so we could have roast potatoes, roast kumara, which you guys call sweet potato, roasted pumpkin, just all sorts of really parsnip, and put them in. And then while they were busy doing their thing, the meat would be doing its last thing, and she'd pull the meat out to rest. And then she'd give Dad the okay when it was time for him to carve it for her. She'd make a gravy out of the drippings and stuff, and we'd have these potatoes with nice crispy sides on them. It was just really cool to sit down and have lunch on a Sunday I love roast meat. I love it, and it was just really good. So another one that would be a Sunday drive. New tradition in the 1900s. By 1920s and 1930s, families went the Sunday drives a leisurely way to explore the countryside. The rise of automobile made Sunday road trips popular, especially before businesses opened on Sundays. Our Sunday thing when we were living during my teenage years when we lived in Waitara was we would, sorry, I got an itchy ear, driving me crazy. We would look out the window, and if we could see Mount Egmont, or Mount Taranaki as it's now known, if we could see the mount, it probably meant that after we had to pack our tramping gear, our boots, our clothes to change into, along with picnic lunches. We'd pack everything, and we would go. So if the weather was good and the mountain was clear, after church, we could possibly be going up the mountain, so we'd have to take all of our hiking gear with us. And that was, or the clothes that we had to wear for hiking, because you couldn't go in your Sunday best. We had to put our tramping boots in there, hiking boots, and Mum would pack a lunch for us, and we would get it. And if it was still good when we got outside, you had to make sure you could see the mountain. We would then go up the mountain and find a place to have a picnic lunch, and then we'll pack it all up, and then we'll go walk one of the trails that were like an hour or 2 hours for walking. Don't tell my parents, but it was a lot of fun. Us kids bitched and moaned almost the entire walk, but my parents knew that, oh, gee, I don't know what's going on with itchy stuff today. Came home and something was like digging me in my shoe, and from our walk, and I checked and there's nothing there, and then there's like these little, I don't know, something's going up my nose and in my ears, I don't know. They would put up with our bitching and moaning because they knew by the time we got back to the car, we would have had a blast. Yep, absolutely. Well, some of the traditions we had based on where we were living. That time we were living, that was my teenage years. We were living underneath the mountain of Mount Taranaki, and it was an awesome mountain to go climb, to go and walk, do these different walks and things on it. I'm looking forward to doing some more walks on the mount again. It's on my list. I have to tell you, I've been making this huge list of stuff I'm going to be doing when I get back down to New Zealand. One of the things I'm going to be doing when I get down to New Zealand is I'm going to be starting a YouTube channel, which is going to be called Rediscovering New Zealand. So it's going to be visiting places that I lived in, grew up in, places we visited on holidays and things like that, talking about adventures that we had there, talking about the changes that had taken place. We're going to be trying this, and I don't know what it is about TikTok, but it's clued into the fact that New Zealand is one of my favorite things. So I scroll through TikTok and it's New Zealand, New Zealand, New Zealand, New Zealand, New Zealand, New Zealand, New Zealand. There's a lot of New Zealand stuff on there, which I don't mind because it's all these people are now telling me of all these new eating places that are down there since I was last there. There's some new adventures in areas that I have never been to in New Zealand, and that's like the west coast of the South Island and Stewart Island are the two places in New Zealand I haven't been. But I'm looking forward to rediscovering New Zealand. And I've got friends up here who have said, oh, we need to come visit you. Trust me, I have told them time and time again, there is a guest room available whenever you want to come down. And if you want your own personal guide, I am happy to volunteer my services. And I've got a friend who lives in Toronto, and I've been sending her some of these videos. Hey, we're going to try this. Hey, we're going to try this. And I will tell you, she's already told me one that she is definitely not going to do. And it was these two girls, they're sitting there. One is sitting upright. One is flipped upside down with her feet up next to her friend's head, and they're on the Nevis or Nexus, the swing that's down near Queenstown. It's I can't remember how many meters the drop is, but it's a 300-meter swing, and the arc of the swing is I think you go down like 125 meters, and then it's a 300-meter swing. So yeah, she said no, absolutely not. She said I'm not doing the Amazing Race, but anyway, back to what else did you do? So Sunday social visits, that's what we're up to. Many people spent Sundays visiting relatives, neighbors, or the sick. Elders and grandparents often hosted tea or afternoon storytelling sessions. Can you imagine sitting there with your grandparents telling stories? Oh my gosh, I would be in heaven on that one. Courting traditions. In some communities, Sundays were a time for young couples to take supervised walks together. And a fun fact, the tradition of Sunday best clothing carried into the 20th century, with families dressing formally even for Sunday dinners. So whether Sundays in your family were for church, big family meals, or Sunday drives, these traditions shaped generations. My challenge to you for today is ask a family member about how they spent Sunday growing up. Did they follow any strict rules, or was it a day of fun and relaxation? Sundays have changed over time, from strict church observances to family dinners to road trips. Whether you enjoy Sunday as a day of rest or a day of adventure, there's something special about how they bring families together. And I would love to hear about if you have any Sunday traditions that you would do. You just heard mine. We'd go to church, we'd come home, have a roast dinner, except for on the days during the summer when it was fine and we were going up the mountain for a hike. And so I'm actually looking forward to doing that again. Going when I visit the Taranaki region, is going for a hike up the mountain, doing like one of their 1 hour trails. Oh, things crawling down my back. It's like I've picked up ants somewhere or something. I don't have ants in my pants. Just wanted to point that out. So, what were some of the traditions that you had growing up? So leave your traditions in the comments below. What were some of the things you did on Sundays? I remember as I was growing up, Sunday there were no businesses open. I think it was more like essential services, but basically, you couldn't go shopping or anything on Sundays. That rule over time got relaxed, and now they have shops open on Sundays in New Zealand, and you can go shopping and all of that sort of stuff. But I still kind of follow the thing of Sunday's a day of relaxation, which is why I unplug on Sundays. I'm not on social media on Sundays, except for my podcast here. But basically, I stay off the computer as much as I can. I did do some postings this morning because I have daily postings that I'm doing at the moment for a few months. So I did do that this morning. But apart from that, I've been off the computer most of the day. And it's just a take care of self day. It's just a day of relaxation, maybe watch a movie, read a book, have a nap. Just get ready for the week ahead by getting as relaxed as you can so that you are mentally prepared for the week ahead. And so with that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Pacific. I think it's 7 p.m. Hang on. 7:30. Yeah. Hang on. Where's my calendar gone? I got to get the right time on this. Oh, there it is. Okay. What have I got here? Hang on. One moment, please. Yeah, it's 7 p.m. Pacific. It could be as early as 6:30 Pacific because I have my Monday class on. So depending what time we finish between 6 and 6:30 and when I get Zeffy's walk in, it'll be soon after that. So it'll be around 7:30 Pacific, 6:30 Pacific time tomorrow evening. We will be back here. Have a super